Hello and welcome, Desert Mountain members, to another edition of the Desert Mountain Podcast. My name is Michael Craven, and we are joining you today from the Outlaw course, where it's raining and it's a little chilly. And we've moved our podcast studio. We're still outside, but we've moved it a little bit under the awning. Joined here today by the one and only John Lyberger. Hello, John.
Hello, Michael. And by the way, we call this liquid sunshine. We don't really call it rain here in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen often enough for us to know anything other than sunshine, right? Also, Riley Hayfield. Riley, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. Thank you both for joining us. We thought we would talk about tee times today.
Absolutely. You know, that's always a big topic of conversation, especially when the season gets really busy. Tee times, you know, how do we make them, and how are they, you know, handled in terms of booking and placement and requests and all that good stuff. So Riley's the master here. So
that's what I hear.
we'll do a lot of Q&A with Riley.
We'll see.
Riley, why don't we start with that? Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been at Desert Mountain, how long you've been in your new role, that type of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been here just over 4 years. I had my 4-year anniversary at the beginning of the month.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. Kind of bounced around. I've been outside. I worked in the locker room, and I was in the tournament office running events and doing group golf and tee time placements for the past 2.5 years. I recently, about a month ago, just got a promotion to assistant head professional at Coach East Geronimo.
Congrats again.
Thank
Was
you.
your clap thing there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, and it's been a good transition. But tee times have been a big part of my role here over these past couple of years, especially as how much we've grown. So a lot going on.
And now that's all you're focused on, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Riley's done a terrific job, you know, and moving into his role as assistant head professional with Jeremy Smith up at Coach East Geronimo is a big role. And Riley, we're proud of you. You're gonna do a terrific job. So we will be transitioning Riley. He's going to continue to do tee time placement and group golf placement for a short period of time, but we are going to go ahead and give another one of our team members that opportunity to succeed in that area. So Riley won't be far away, but members, It'll be a smooth transition. They won't notice any difference.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, John, you want to get into some of the topics that I know you wanted to talk about today. Just take us through the whole kit and caboodle of tee times here on the mountain.
Yeah, we've done a couple presentations together. We've presented to the board. We presented to some of our group golf leaders, and I think this podcast will be great to get out to the rest of the membership. You know, one of the things that I think people don't necessarily understand, or if they're new to the club, they certainly shouldn't understand it because it is quite complicated, is how we place tee times, how tee times are requested, how far in advance they're requested, and does it make a difference if they're, you know, requested 8 days or 30 days in advance. So, Riley, let's start with that. Let's talk about the advanced tee time request policy that we have.
Yeah. So our system becomes available to our membership 30 days in advance from the day of play. And you have up until 3:59, 8 days beforehand to get an advanced lottery request in the system.
Gotcha.
We have no way of knowing. I have no way of knowing when I get in there if you made it exactly on the 30 days out, or if you made it, like I said, at 3:50, 8 days before. Excuse me. That is a common question. I hear that a lot, and a lot of clubs have different ways of doing that through ForeTees, and so ours is once everybody's in there, there's no way to see who had it in there first or whatnot. So.
Which makes the system fair, you know, because we use another method to equalize things out, and that is the algorithm that's used. So, Riley, use an example. So if somebody requests a tee time 30 days ago for today, or they request a tee time 2 days ago from today,
yeah,
it's just in there. So you now go in and you go and you look and you have to manage all your groups. You have to manage your tournaments that are in there. We have league play, whether it's ladies league, men's league, par seekers, couples league, etc., Saturday sticks. So we have those that have to be managed, and we have 7 golf courses, you know, to manage in there, and based on the requests. So maybe take us through some examples of what that looks like for a member that wouldn't be privy to that information.
Sure. The other thing I want to mention as well is the early closure dates. Those come into play a lot. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, our courses are closing early for maintenance purposes, and that certainly plays a big role. Once I get in there, so say we all want to play at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is a popular time. I have no way of seeing when you got the request in. All I can see is that there's 20 requests for 9 o'clock in the morning on Cochise, say, for example. So what I do is I go through, and the algorithm that you mentioned, John, it's weighted, it's calculated, it's very complicated. I've spoken with ForeTees multiple times about how exactly it's calculated. It's individual weight, it's group weight, and then it's all kind of put into what I like to refer to as a variance number, if you will. So if John puts in for 9 a.m. every day and gets 9 o'clock every day, his variance number is going to be 0 or very, very low. And if I put in for 9 a.m. and get 2 o'clock in the afternoon every day, my variance number is going to be very, very high. So what that does, what it allows me to do when I get in there is to say, okay, this person has got pushed back a few times, and so it's their turn to go to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. It's a system that we've used for years. We have shaped it a little bit, but it keeps it equitable for everybody. And this goes for groups as well as individuals. Everybody is in that system. Everybody has that variance number and algorithm applied to their request. And so it is a true, as equal as it can possibly be for the entire membership.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense to do it that way.
Yeah, it's the only way we have to equalize. When you have everybody wanting to play at the same time, the greatest opportunity a member would have is to not pigeonhole themselves into just one course.
Right.
Correct.
So if they wanted to play at 9 o'clock and they said, I'll play any golf course, they can make that notation in there. That'll give them a greater opportunity to get closer to 9 than it would if they said, I only want to play Cochise. Because that could be a day where there's a lot of requests for Cochise, or there may be, some other event on Cochise that would push them either to another golf course or to later in the day.
Yeah, and it's a great example, again, going back to the early closure. So say, for example, on a Monday, there's only 30 times available from 8 a.m. to 12:50, which was when we close our sheet. And so looking at that, if everybody says no and they're only willing to play Cochise and we have 45 requests in there, well, now I have to move 15 people that didn't want to be moved, and that makes it challenging as well. So certainly a factor there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if you don't like your tee time what happens?
Well, so our X's, we've just changed it as of the first of the year. Mm-hmm. You get 48 hours to fill in your X's if you get a book tee time. What this is basically doing is giving the membership an extra day to get in there and say, okay, I'm going to try to find another time or potentially book one in if I didn't get an advance request in the system. You have multiple options. You can, obviously, if you're only planning on playing as a twosome, there's many times twosome, two spots available at an earlier time or a more desirable time, whichever, wherever you like to play.
You bring up a great point, though, with twosomes.
Yeah.
So if you put in with two players and two X's and those X's drop out, or you only book in with a twosome and another twosome is kind of nearby in that range, Riley will pair them up on the placement process. But if they're in with the X's and the X's drop, our pro shop will, per this new policy that we have, start pairing up those twosomes. So if you are a twosome and you want to play just by yourselves, I would suggest later in the day, because it's unfair to just take a whole tee time up with just two players when it's prime time, and we have lots of members that are getting displaced because they can't find a tee time.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and get those paired up. If there's two twosomes on the tee sheet within the same hour, we'll go ahead and pair them up. So members, look at your emails and pay attention to the automatic notifications that you'll get once a tee time is either changed, modified, or booked.
Yeah. And a great point. It will be within that hour. So we're not trying to, you have at 9 o'clock, we're not going to move you to 12:30. It's going to be very minimal, but we do ask that you keep an eye on it just so that you don't show up for, in 20 minutes and you just missed your time because we bumped you forward 3 or 4 days beforehand. So
I just think it's cool that you guys are keeping such a good eye on it. So if you do have to move someone out of a tee time that they requested, Riley's there looking at it and going, okay, I feel bad about that. What's the next best thing we can do? How can we, set them up in the next best experience, closest time, different course maybe or whatnot, but you're on it.
Yeah, and always feel free as a membership to call the golf shops. We have a note section on our tee sheets that allows us to say, John didn't get his time he was looking for. Please call this number if you're able to find something, and we'll get him a more desirable time if something becomes available. And that feature does work quite well.
It does. It goes out to all the golf shops. They can see the tee sheets. They see the notes. Our team is very keen on going in and looking at those notes on a daily basis as time's open. Let me see if I can get somebody in there and fill them from the notes section. So that works. It really does work, and I think members are happy about that.
And we're in the golf shop all day. You're looking at sheets and you're transferring back and forth from courses, and all of a sudden you might see something that if somebody's out playing golf, they might not be able to see for 3 hours. So that's a time where we would just make the change and then notify them about it. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
good.
Very good.
Extra set of eyes, for sure.
Exactly.
So we get, I get a lot of emails. And I get a lot of emails during the busiest parts of the year, whether it be October, November, when we're holding big tournaments, multiple courses being used, tee times are at a high premium. And I get emails from group leaders that say, you're giving all the tee times to individuals, and us groups, we support the club, and everybody supports the club, so it's not really a valid comment. All members are members. But at the same time, I get the notes from individuals saying, groups get all the tee times because they see, one name in all these groups. So under the rules that we currently have, groups can have, in order to be a group, what's the parameters?
Yeah, so you have to have a minimum of 3 tee times and a maximum number of 12. So that can be consecutive. Last year, we implemented a new rule where if you have 6 or more in your group, we have the ability to go in and put 2 individual times in the middle. So I could put 3, slip 2 individual times in there to help them get closer, and then put the back half of the group behind them there. So,
and I think that's worked out pretty well. Our groups are good. I think, our listeners and viewers would like to maybe learn a little bit more about group golf. So we've touched on a lot of individual requests, but let's touch on group golf for a second because, first of all, let our listeners and viewers know how many groups we have at the club.
Yeah.
And in addition to how many groups, the elaborate spreadsheet that you keep, because those groups are required to rotate through all the courses.
Right.
If you're a group, you don't just get, Renegade or Apache or Cochise or Outlaw every single week. You have a rotation. So.
Yeah, so basically if you want to be a group and you want to start a group, you have to be willing to move golf courses. That's just one of the requirements. We kind of take the burden of getting the requests in and getting you your tee times and everything, but you have to be willing to work with us a little bit and move golf courses to where there's potentially some more availability. The tracking sheet that you mentioned, John, is extremely detailed. I keep track of every day that the group plays throughout the entire season, going back 2 years now. On the course, exactly what time their first tee time was. So it is very detailed. I keep it for myself and my records to kind of judge how I'm doing, but also to provide, feedback or input when I get questions asked. I think that's
How many groups are there?
Well, it depends on the day. There is 140 groups throughout the entire week. So 29 being the most on Friday, and again, anywhere from 3 to 12 tee times for all 29 of those groups.
How many, how many of our members who play golf are a part of a group? It's got to be close to half or something.
Yeah,
right?
and it's, I would say 50% at least. Some guys have their own, or people have their own games on one day, but then play in a group on a couple of other days. And so, I have groups that play just on Monday or just on Tuesday, and I have groups that play 4 or 5 times a week. So It really just varies from group to group and individual to individual for sure.
So you'd say our busiest days at Desert Mountain for tee times, requests, groups, etc., would be Tuesday, Friday.
Tuesday mainly because of the early closure at Apache, and then Ladies League taking up a course with a shotgun. So there's limited times plus 1 course down just right there. So that just jams things up. We do have 17 groups on Tuesdays. Again, along with par seekers and 9-holers, Ladies League on another golf course, and then an early closure. So Tuesdays gets really jammed up. Friday, definitely just sheer volume of tee times, both by individuals as well as, like I said, group play being the highest number there as well.
Couples League on Friday, too?
Couples League on Friday that starts at 2 o'clock shotgun based on time of the year, but that cuts the sheet off at noon.
Right.
So there's another, golf course that's only got, 25 times.
And these are all really well subscribed leagues or groups or events. I mean, Desert Mountain is a golfing community for sure, without a doubt.
Some would say a mecca.
It is. It's awesome.
And I think something to point out, too, like on those busy Fridays that you're talking about, I'll send out tee times for 400 actual assignments, which if you times it by 4, it's 1,200 players, and that's 8 days in advance.
Wow.
So it's a lot, A lot of people playing golf.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just to jump in here, sorry if you can hear, if you're listening to us, we have the rain is really falling. Now it's coming off the roof. But the cool thing about us doing these outside is, I don't know if this will come through on the video or not. We've got a huge rainbow going over the 18th green here at Outlaw. I just saw a bobcat run across the fairway here. It's pretty cool to be out here.
He's late for his tee time.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only one willing to play in the heavy stuff right now. Anyway, just to bring that up. But no, that's it's amazing. I mean, that kind of puts things in perspective, I think, for people, where it's like, if anybody's trying to make a last second tee time and say, hey, can we jump on tomorrow or whatever, I can respect that if something comes up at the last minute. But what goes into making these tee times ahead of time and planning out these schedules is a lot. Yeah. So it's potentially a lot of moving things around if you have to make change last second.
Yeah, it's a big puzzle.
Yeah.
Michael, I find it that if you want to play golf at Desert Mountain, you can always find a spot.
Sure.
You may have to wait a little closer to the day of play, but things always open up. And, one of the things I wanted to touch on, Riley, is we should really appeal to our members. We've been tracking, and we have some folks that we've made contact with, and we have some others that we're keeping our eye on who consistently play together.
Mm-hmm.
And they consistently play together, but they'll each put a request in, and then they'll try to see who gets the best tee time, and then they'll cancel the other ones.
Sure.
Which really puts a burden on the system because you add so many requests into the system, and then after people get placed, then they go in and they cancel their tee time, and then that opens up some other spots, but, somebody else may have already gotten placed at a less desirable time than they could have.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not really fair to your fellow members. I think it's just a matter of if you trust the system, everybody plays, in the sandbox the same way, and make your request and see what you get. And, as the X's fall, take a relook if you didn't like your tee time. Mm-hmm. We've now made that 48 hours where those X's drop, so that gives you plenty of time. Yeah. 5 days, 5 days, I guess, to go in and make sure that you can adjust your tee time of your schedule.
Right. You heard it here, members. John is he's on to you. He knows the scheme.
We're watching you.
Yeah, exactly.
So terrific stuff, and I just wish it'd be nice if we had a call-in section because I think some members out there probably have some questions, and certainly we'd be happy to answer them, but. Riley, I can't think of anything else that would really be informative at this point.
Yeah, no, touched on just about everything that I think goes into it. Yeah, no, I think it's good.
Any other questions you can think of that I know you mentioned you get a lot of emails, obviously. Mm-hmm. Anything that you get, Riley, on a regular basis, just questions that you can think of that you've received, or have we pretty much touched on it all?
Pretty much touched it all. I think this is great especially for all of our newer members to realize that that's one of the difficult conversations to have is when they're behind somebody that's got 6 times in a row and it's the same name. They're like, well, now I'm an hour and a half or 2 hours back than what I wanted, and this person's got it 6 times. And I think us being able to insert times has been a big help in that regard. Shows that we're trying to kind of help everybody out. But just knowing that we do have those policies in place and we are able to try to move things around and help them out as much as we can to get closer to their desired tee time, I think is great for them to be aware of.
Yeah, and those groups don't all have a name, right? So some of them, they use their name.
Correct. Yeah, some it's just, it would be John Lyberger, and others have a, kind of a group name that they've come up themselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's our most unique group name?
Oh, there's a couple good ones. That's putting me on the spot here a little bit. A newer one I'll say is the Booze Brothers. They're a Tuesday, Thursday
Okay.
fun group.
I like that.
They're good. Yeah.
They'd have to be a fun group with that name.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
Gotta be. So
I think my biggest takeaway is just that we all know that Desert Mountain is a very popular place. We've got a lot of members here and a lot of people that want to play these beautiful courses, and I think it was nice to just sit down with the two of you and just remind people that, you know, we really are going to great lengths to make sure that the tee times are fair and that people can get in when they want to, and so it's a lot that goes into it on the back end. So we appreciate both of your hard work on that.
thank you, Michael. You know, it does go in cycles too. You know, like right now we're probably averaging 680 tee times a day, somewhere in there.
That's pretty close.
And it'll start to go up as we get closer to February.
Wow.
I always say we do about 70% of our business from February to May. It's really going to start to spike. You know,
Sure.
by the time you get to waste management, we got, I think Barrett Jackson's coming up next week already.
Yep. I know.
Got a lot of members bringing guests into town.
Yeah.
We go into waste management, and then we start our tournaments really next month too. So the tournaments will take up spots on the calendar.
Yeah.
We get to Mountain Mania. We have 60 teams on the wait list.
Yeah, I think it's just a few more now.
Just a few
I looked
more.
just yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. We got some communication going out to our members. I think we'll get it out this week, so we'll start to take a look at those that by February 1st we'll go ahead and do a full billing. We'll give them till the end of January to cancel. If they're already registered and they haven't canceled yet, we'll give them an opportunity to cancel at no charge.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to go ahead and just put a hard cost on it and 50% billing. I hate to do that, but
A lot of teams waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fair to those people on the wait list that got to make travel plans and so forth that
Sure.
could get in. And, a lot of times around the mountain, I know in dining they find it, they got a 20% attrition rate down towards the end of when they get closer to the event time. So I don't want to run that risk. I'd rather give those people on the wait list an opportunity to get in if they and get their guests organized properly. And things change, from when people sign up. We have our sign-ups that first come out when the fall calendar comes out. So that was, back in October?
Middle of September. Yep.
October, yeah. So we got those. People jumped on that right away. And we'll do a second billing 1st of April, and then the event will be at the end of April for Mountain Mania.
Well, that's exciting that that we have that many groups, but not for the people who are on the list. But I think my takeaway there is, if you're signed up and you're not sure if you're going to play or going to be able to, then
Yeah, some people ask, why we got so many golf courses? Why can't we just use more golf courses? And it doesn't necessarily work like that. You would really dilute the experience of the tournament, especially from the social function,
Yep.
the F&B side, and I think also it would really put a hurting on the 80% of the members that aren't playing in the event that are still looking to try and play golf, because they're going to be relegated to fight over three courses.
Yeah, because Apache's in there. So
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to have it at CG and then bleed onto Chiricahua a little bit. Once you get down to Apache, I can see that kind of takes away from
we'll be using Apache, but then if we had to go out and add more golf course and we added, say, Outlaw, or we added Renegade, you just really run the risk of like I said, just making the event not very fun for everybody,
right?
Because somebody's gonna say, well, why did they get to play Chiricahua, which is one of our more scenic golf courses?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I got to play Renegade, which is under construction right now?
Right.
So we'll get through it, and I just appreciate our members' patience and understanding, and I'm also grateful for the fact that they want to participate. It's actually a little badge of honor for them to say, hey, this event is so awesome. I want to show the club off to my friends and my guests, and I want to come and participate in this cool thing you call Mountain Mania.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen a lot of that. I think it's why wouldn't you want to show off this beautiful club? I was going to ask you when you mentioned kind of that member/guest breakdown, just out of curiosity, like on a given day, you said, you might have up to close to 700 tee times in a day. Of those God, 2,500 plus players. Is that right? Or is that golfers? 600 players or
it's
600?
more about 1,000 players.
Okay.
Yeah, 400.
Well, how many of those are members on a given day, and how many are their guests?
Usually it's about 10% guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
10%
90.
guests. Most of them are members. And it'll ebb and flow at different times of the year when,
Sure.
Guests, spring break and things like that, you kind of ramp up your family guests a little bit more than you do, say right now in January.
Yeah.
But, we budget generally for annually, somewhere around 14% of our play is guests.
Yeah.
And so, it's probably a fair number.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. I really appreciate it. I think this was just really nice to give us a good overview of what we're working with, the system, the people running the system, how it all works, and I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Riley.
Yes.
As always, we like to do our shots heard our shots heard round the mountain, and we have 5 to tell you about today. So good playing this past week, members. Just to jump into it, and I'm not always fortunate enough to have golf guys here, so you're gonna know these people, I'm sure. Number 1, David Price, Sunday, January 9th, Eagle on 18 Apache.
Nice.
Very nice.
Here, let me get the button going. Congratulations, Mr. Price. Scott Conway, Thursday, January 13th, hole in one on 2 Cochise. So congratulations, Mr. Conway. This one is unbelievable. Every time I see these, which is not often, I'm always amazed. Roger Reinlieb, did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last Thursday, an albatross on number 15 Geronimo.
2
Yeah.
on the par 5.
I talked to him that afternoon. He was pretty excited about it, as he should be. I know he hit a 3-wood up the hill from, I want to say ballpark 235. I don't exactly remember the number, but
Wow. Must have been a left hole location.
yeah, I know. I didn't get that information from him where the flag was. If it was on the right, that's a heck of a shot.
Riley's a good player. Have you had an albatross?
I have had an albatross. Fortunate enough to do it, couple it with a hole in one. I got an ace on a par 4.
Wow.
So I kind of touched them
that's a
all
nice
at
way
once.
to do it.
Wow, that's the perfect way to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And I've had 5 hole-in-ones, not bragging, but just saying.
But
But I've never had a 2 on a par 5. That's something that I hope to accomplish one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, and that's why when I see these pop up, I'm like, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
congratulations, that's really great. David Cantor, Thursday. There were 3 of these were last Thursday. Huge day last Thursday. Hole in one on 14 Chiricahua. Congratulations, Mr. Cantor. And then finally to wrap it up, just a couple days ago here, right here at Outlaw, number 12, Robert Mallets. Hole in one on 12.
Excellent. Well, there's something for you in our 2 times. Play on Thursdays. The whole locations are easy.
There you have it.
Lucky Thursday.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you both joining us. Thank you very much. And where can they get a hold? If they have any specific questions, do you want to give the members just what the best way to get a hold of you would be, Riley?
Yeah, I'm at the Cochise Geronimo Clubhouse.
Okay.
My office is just right off the golf shop there. So certainly.
Yeah, and if they know how to get a hold of me, email.
Yeah.
Email's the best way.
So-
That's the fastest way to get a hold of me, and I'm pretty quick at turning an email around. I'll get it back to you before 24 hours. And that we do have a email for support line for tee times, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a group golf email, group gg@desertmt.com.
gg@desertmt.com.
It's easy enough.
Yeah.
Or just pop into Riley's office and pick him up by the shirt. And I didn't get the tea time I wanted.
Yeah,
Yes.
Riley's quick. He's a moving target. So chase him down.
yeah.
Well, thank you, members. Thank you, gentlemen. And members, we will see you around the mountain.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.